Welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, I'm servicing an LS Ford Focus. So we're going to put fresh oil in it, brand new filter, and we're going to attempt to do the fan belts. So there's two fan belts. One's a stretch belt and the other one just held on by a tensioner, but we're going to get them done today. What I like to do next is open the bonnet. So on this model of Focus, what I need to do is get the key, flip the Ford badge to my left, or the driver's side in this case, and then to my left, and then to my right, 1 and 2, open the bonnet and just hook it up into place like that. What I like to do also is take this engine cover off. You probably don't have to because the oil cap's here, but I just like to, just in case when I'm pouring oil in, it just spills down the side. So just put some pressure on it, just a few clips holding it in, and it should just pop straight off. There we go, and just put that to the side so we don't break it. So the next thing I need to do, I'm going to drain the oil sump. So I've just jacked the car up just to make it easier so you can see at home, but this is the drain plug. So I've got a 13mm bit, just put it on my ratchet, undo it and let the oil drain out. Alright, I've just drained the bulk of the oil out, so I'm just going to give it a quick wipe. I'm going to put the sump plug back in its place so I don't spill any oil on the floor, because what I want to do next, and I'm going to go back and tighten this up, is I want to remove the oil filter, which you can see just here. So I'm going to pull this off now, and I'm going to let everything drain to the bottom of it. So now what I'm doing is got my oil filter removal tool. Going to set it up on it. The other way. Now I just start taking the oil filter off. And it should come loose like that. Simple as that. Just make sure my oil pan is underneath. Just got to be careful because this will start leaking. Alright, I'm quite happy that drained the bulk of the oil now. Just make sure you give this a clean. Make sure any rubber is off, just make sure the surface is smooth. I'll wipe it all down. And now it's time for a fresh oil filter. So I've cleaned up under the car now. So what I want to do is take my oil filter, take the plastic off it, open my oil, and put my fingers in and just lubricate the rubber seal. Alright, then what I like to also do is just put some oil in just to start it so it's not bone dry. Just enough so it's not too heavy. I'll put that on, wipe my hands, and now let's go and put that on the car. Everything's clean under here. I've wiped it all off, got my oil filter, and all I'm going to do is screw it back on. Now you can use a special tool, but I've had success just by doing it hand tight. But what I do when I start the engine, I always make sure I look for leaks. Just give it a little bit Just give it as much as I can with my hands. It's all oily now, but that's actually quite tight on there. So once I put the oil in, I'll check everything, make sure everything's nice and tight, and then we're good to go. All right, so I've drained the oil, I've put the sump plug back on, I have put a brand new oil filter on and cleaned all that area. They're all tightened up. I haven't put the oil in at this stage yet. I want to wait till the car's back on all four wheels. What I want to do first is I want to remove this wheel, and then what I want to do is replace the two belts. So the bigger one is quite easy. There's just a tensioner on it, so I just have to back that off a little bit, so it should be fine. But the smaller belt that moves the air conditioning compressor, that's going to be harder because this is more of a stretch. So I'm going to try and do this without any special tools. So wish me luck. But what I need to do, I'll remove this wheel first, take it off, and see if I've got enough access and clearance through here to sit there and play with this. But this will be the last one to go on, but that's the first one to come off as well. The wheel's off. I'm going to need some more space because I've got this plastic guard lining in the way. So it looks like it's just a few screws with a Torx bit, with a T30 Torx bit that I can take it off with. So what I'm going to do, pull all that out, and then I've got full access to this and I can get this job started and finished. So this is the larger belt, and what this one does, it's attached to the crank, it's attached to, I think, the water pump, and it's also attached to the alternator. But this one's actually quite easy to undo. All I do is just get a breaker bar. This is probably the best one that fits on it. And I've got a 17mm socket, and all I do on the tensioner like so, if I can just get it on like that, push it down as far as it can go. As far as it can go, and then what I'm going to do is just get a screwdriver and just help it off. And it's as simple as that. I think the easiest way to get this fan belt off is get a Stanley knife and start trimming it. So I've undone the belt from the top, so all I should have to do now, this should just slide down. Just find a way to get everything through, and that's it, and that's the belt. Okay, so I've got both belts off now. You saw me cut the other one off. It's time to put the top one on again, so just reversal. So this one will be the easy one, and the other one I'm going to struggle with. So the first belt is on. It's looking all right. Everything's on the way it's meant to be. And now I'm gonna have to put the air conditioning compressor belt on. That's gonna be the fun one. Anyway, let's get to it, because this one's not hard, just fiddly. But as I said, just make sure you take a diagram of it so you put it on exactly the same way and it'll fix itself up. All right, let's get to the next one. So this is all that's left. Then this is a stretch belt. Now, there are special tools that you can buy to help this along, but I'm going to try maybe turning the engine by hand. I'm not going to put the sound on because I dare say there's going to be a lot of swearing involved in trying to put this belt on. but I'll do the best that I can. And look, worst case scenario, maybe I do need to buy the tool, but I'm going to try and do it. Yeah, try and do it without the tool and see how I go. Okay, so I've managed to get the stretch belt on without using the correct tools. So it was a bit of a struggle, but all I did, I got it down the compressor. I put it on the compressor first. Then what I did, I stretched it up as far as possible as I could on the crank pulley up here. And then when I had it really tight, all I did was got my 21 mil, I think this is 21 mil socket. Yep, 21 mil socket on my ratchet. Put my ratchet on there, and I kept pushing as hard as I could on the belt and this. So what I did, I kept on turning it, and eventually it gripped and went on. I did have some issues down here, and what actually happened was it was sort of half on, so I just kept on moving it till it seated itself properly. So save myself, what's a tool cost? I don't know, $30 maybe. That's what I've seen online. It could be cheaper than that, could be more than that. But yeah, quite happy with that. So all the belts are on. So what I can start doing now is putting everything back together and put oil in the car, and fingers crossed these belts don't actually slip off. Put everything back together. I've put the car back on its wheels, on its weight again. So what I need to do is just double check the torque of the wheel nuts. I've double checked the oil filter, the sump plug, the belts. Everything's good to go. All I need to do now is start putting some oil in the car. That's a wrap for the LS 2006 Ford Focus. Did the oil change because it was due for one at around 100,000 kilometers. So just a brand new oil filter, brand new oil. She's good to go to the next service. The reason I did the fan belts, they were getting squeaky in the morning, but with a 100,000 kilometer mark, it's probably time, a bit of preventative maintenance there. Just I'm not driving down the road one day and they decide to let go. They are a little bit fiddly. Well, the first one is the one that's to the crank and to the air compressor, the air conditioning compressor. So it takes a little bit of time. There are special tools out there. As you can see, I decided to forego that special tool and just use some hand power this time. If you like that video, hit that like button. And if you want to see more content from Modaufy Garage, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video.